Hi everyone, welcome to our second go at doing a Facebook Live in regards to an event, inviting someone on. Now I think we've worked it out. What I've got to do is just invite Jacqueline onto the call. Hi Leonie, how are you? I can see you're there. I'm just waiting for Jacqueline. I'm sure she's going to come on very soon. We are going to be talking about all things weight loss in regards to ghee. So I've been doing a little bit of keto lately, and if anyone is aware of what that involves, it's quite low in the carbs, heavy in the fats, heavy in the protein. And Jacqueline mentioned to me the other day that having a spoonful of ghee in the morning can actually kick you into ketosis. And here I am thinking that perhaps I have to go without carbs for like weeks in and months and that kind of thing. And here's Jacqueline. Yes, I'm going to approve you, send you an invitation. All good to go. Welcome,
Hello.
Jacqueline.
Good to see you, Lisa.
Yeah,
we did it.
Well, we've got Leonie and she's come and said hi, and we've got Catherine on. I'm going to be, do you see these fingers doing these things? It's just flicking and flicking to see who we've got on board so we can say hi. And please, everyone, you'll see at the top of the screen, it talks about that there's some links there, but it says ask questions. So we're here to answer all your questions. Jacqueline, I don't know if you heard what I was saying, but I was just saying that, I've been doing keto a little bit. I've been, on and off because I'm trying to work out my hormones. And, I know we're going to get into that in another part of our educational series. But right now, we're going to be talking about weight loss. So ketosis, right? And ghee, super interesting. So we can talk about that, but I thought before we start, do you just want to give everyone a quick introduction about yourself?
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. So I'm Jacqueline. I run a business called Living Ayurveda. I've been practicing Ayurveda for nearly 20 years with a little break to be a full-time mum. I'm a yoga teacher as well. And in the last, how many years now? Time goes so fast. 8 years, my focus has really shifted from just Ayurveda in general, which is still a wonderful thing and can help everybody I'm passionate about helping people understand their own body and understand how to read the language of their own body, so you can make the right choices in your own life and not have to rely on people like me or other health professionals, because that's very possible to understand what your body's trying to say to you. But I went through a time of depletion and early menopause about 8 years ago, and since then my focus has honed in on women's health and hormone balance. So I still work with everyone, but I've got a very strong focus now in supporting women in understanding the different changes that bodies go through at different stages of life, and how to work with their body, not against it, but to develop a really beautiful relationship with their own body to maintain their health through all the different phases of life.
I love that. I love that idea that as women, we can get this information, but you're leading people on not only education and knowledge, and ancient knowledge as that, as women have passed it down generation after generation, and it's all written down in the Vedas, and it's been, in these ancient texts, and it's been worked out. But I love that you're in this space where you're empowering. So, if we get a niggle or something's not quite right, we're not having to get on the phone and call someone else, right? Ultimately responsible for our own health. And the more education we have about that, the better. I know that you're doing like a seasonal thing coming up, because if anyone's noticed, we're coming into autumn and there's a little bit more blustery. I've even noticed myself being a little bit more blustery, and it's, we mimic. So I've been upping my ghee intake just because I know it's so grounding for me, and some warm spices, and I've bought in my milk, you know, in the evening again, just a smidgen of it. But as a woman of a certain age, the hormones do hit. And, you know, I've had a bit of a thing with this, the thyroid and that type of thing. And so, you know, people are saying, oh, we'll do this diet and do this diet and do that diet. And, you know, ultimately, I've tried lots of different things and banging my head against the wall. And I know lots of men and women, and it's not just women, that sort of go through these different hormonal things because we get so out of sync with the seasons, you know, and we've gotten so busy that we forget about that flow and what Mother Nature's provided for us. So so I ventured into keto again, only because I really love that bulletproof coffee kind of thing that I have in the morning, which, you know, maybe is not a good thing, but I know that the fat sort of, it doesn't give me, having the ghee in it doesn't give me that real frazzle, and it gives me more an alertness. But so maybe you could talk a little bit about that. And just before, let's see, we've got Catherine. Hi, Catherine. I can see we've got 7 people on the call, but I can't see who they are. So if you want to just pop a hi in the comments, that would be great. If you've got any questions about ghee or about what Jacqueline does or how she can help you. Hi, Gemma. Hi, Christina. Here we go. I've got some names popping up. But any questions, just put them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them. So over to you, Jacqueline. Ketosis and ghee. Tell me about that.
Well, before I go into ketosis, I just want to talk a tiny bit for those who are maybe newer to ghee about the benefits of ghee in general, because well, if they're following you already, they might already know, because you've got a wealth of information on and what ghee is and why it's so good. And it's totally amazing. But ghee is very rich in a lot of nutrients and vitamins, and especially the fat-soluble vitamins. So that's A, E, D, and K. And, you know, when we link that into how that helps us with weight loss, it comes in a few different ways. For example, our thyroids need good levels of vitamin D. And, you know, in our society, it's endemic that vitamin D is low. So we don't only get vitamin D from sun. I know, it's like
crazy, right?
It's like the new, you know, latest best thing. So, and I mean, it is important that we have vitamin D. We produce it through some foods, and obviously through the sun. But because vitamin D is fat soluble, we need good quality fat to absorb it well. And our thyroid is very dependent on having good levels of vitamin D to, you know, support good metabolism, to support, you know, not going into hyper, which some women experience and men, but it is certainly, thyroid stuff is more common in women, and not getting hypo as well. And often it goes hyper first, and then it crashes into hypo. So ghee protects it. Ghee protects the thyroid to quite a strong level, I would say, and really supports the vitamin D levels that help metabolism, and therefore in general helping support, you know, not weight gain and supporting good weight loss. So that's one little, you know, part of the puzzle, and there are so many little parts of the puzzle.
Absolutely. And can I just interject, Jacqueline, to say hi to everyone that's watching, but just to say, of course, well, I want to be responsible in this. Like, you can't have tablespoons and tablespoons of ghee and expect to lose weight. However, there are ways of having ghee that, as a practitioner, you would know, like just a small bit in the morning in hot water, that type of thing, where it is beneficial. So you're talking about the vitamin D. I think I've talked about this on my page before, but for everyone listening, the vitamin D, ghee helps. Not only does it helps because it's a fat soluble vitamin, and because ghee mimics the cell membrane, then that vitamin can cross in and out really easily, okay, more so than something else. right? And as with those other vitamins that Jacqueline was saying, but I'd never heard of it as a protector for the thyroid. So that's really interesting, because thyroid's really responsible for a lot of our metabolism.
That's right.
Am I right?
That's absolutely right. So that's important on that level. And then the vitamin A, our liver needs good levels, you know, right levels. And as you mentioned, it's different for everyone, and we don't just want to be, you know, shoveling in a lot of ghee and thinking it's going to do it. We still have to eat a balanced diet. We still have to, you know, exercise and do all of those good things that we know are helpful to ourselves. But having the ghee, again, you know, helps absorption of these important fat soluble vitamins, and our liver, which is so important in our digestion also, needs vitamin A. So once again, vitamin A, with the help of ghee, is absorbed better, can slide into the cells and support the functioning of the liver. And you know, going down the line of all these little things that I just love about ghee, the short chain fatty acids really provide, it's like they're a prebiotic. They provide good bacteria for our gut health, and you know, really heal conditions like leaky gut or inflammation. Very good at all of that. But when we're talking about weight loss or good digestion and absorption, if we're not digesting well, like this is just to really simplify it, if we're not digesting well, for whatever reason, our cells are not getting the nutrients that they want. Therefore, we feel hungry, and therefore we eat more, which perpetuates perhaps the digestion not working well, which perpetuates, you know, and on it goes. So having ghee in our diet, and it doesn't have to be excessive, it doesn't have to be even, you know, the ketosis part that I will come to, just having ghee on your toast, ghee as the base for soup or stews or, you know, curries, or in the warm milk, you know, all these little ways we can add ghee into our life and into our diets, soothes digestion.
Buckwheat pancakes, that's going up in my recipe section.
Oh,
buckwheat
so
pancakes. You know, people go, oh, that takes so long, you know, to cook a curry. And as a producer of OMG, I'm on a mission to make sure, as Australians, we just don't equate ghee with curry.
I agree.
Because it's such a healthy butter alternative. We should be on every table. You know how people had the butter on the table in the butter dish, and then that went away because everyone freaked out, and we had all this margarine advertising, which I hope now everyone's quite aware of how shocking that is. So, you know, I want to see that moved away, and either the butter come back, but even better, like the ghee, and we can just be using it as a really healthy, easy replacement.
Absolutely. And really, there's nothing better than ghee on fruit toast. Yum. Now, I'm just reading a couple of questions.
Hot cross buns are coming
Sorry,
up.
say that again, Lisa.
Pardon? I said hot cross buns are coming up.
Now, there's a question from Luke about cholesterol. And I mean, that's something that we're going to talk about in another live. But yes, ghee is an animal fat. Yes, it has good amounts of omega-3s and lesser of omega-6s. So basically, our body needs cholesterol for our brain health, for our nerve tissue, for our hormone production. But it wants the good cholesterol and not the bad cholesterol. So ghee has been shown to produce the good cholesterol and lessen the LDLs, the bad cholesterol. So it helps our body to balance out those two. So just to answer that question there. And I'll come to the keto and insulin release in a sec there, Luke. But the other thing I wanted to say about the short chain fatty acids is that they slow down the glycemic release, or, you know, reduce the glycemic index of carbohydrates as well. So that's where we're kind of getting into the keto a bit. Now, you know, I was with you in your beautiful workshop Sunday week ago, and you served the most delicious and simple thing, which is cooked rice with ghee and some fresh coriander and a little squeeze of lemon juice to add some acidity and lift that, and a little bit of salt. And you know, it's so delicious. So when we're eating something like rice or bread, or, you know, something that's high glycemic index, because it has carbohydrate, which our body turns to glucose, when we add ghee to it, it slows down the release of energy. So ghee creates a sustained energy rather than a quick burn like carbohydrates do. So it helps our body to, have more stable energy and feel satiated for longer. So we're not reaching for more and more food throughout the day. It helps to stabilize blood sugar and stabilize our energy as well. So is there any more questions? And I'm just checking. I don't think so right now. Okay.
Yeah, you can see. I can't see the question.
Well, they're right over my face on my phone, really so I'm just scrolling to see the questions as they're there.
There's a little cross, right? That I think, oh, I could press that and maybe the comments would start doing it. See, but I'm too scared. I'm going to press the cross, Jacqueline, and you're going to
That's what I've seen the cross too, and I'm not going to touch it because I don't know what it's going to do either. Oh dear. So,
if anyone is watching, they saw the previous live, it was just bloopers, right? We just worked so hard and it didn't happen. But we've been practicing.
We're back, and we're going to be back again and again. Yes. All right. So, with having the ghee in our diet, it sustains our energy, which means we feel less hungry, which means we're ideally less snacking. Now, of course, there may be other reasons to eat. I mean, eating is it's more than just putting fuel in our body, isn't it? It's cultural, it's social, it's emotional sometimes. So, we need to look at how we're doing things as well as what we're putting in, becoming really conscious about our choices and, aware about our choices without being critical of ourselves in the meantime. That's very important. Now, the last thing I want to...
Yes, be gentle.
With ourselves. That's so right. And lastly, the ketosis. So when our body has less carbs, when we reduce sugars, which our blood uses as energy most of the time, when we reduce the sugars, it reduces blood insulin, and then our body starts to release fatty acids from cells and start to use them. And our liver produces ketones to gobble them up. So having good quality fats in our diet puts us in this state that's called ketosis, which is a fat burning state. And as Lisa mentioned at the beginning, one of the ways to do this, now fasting can put us in that state. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, it's really important that people fast according to their own needs and according to their body type, because we've all got different constitutions, and some constitutions can do really well with long fasting, and others, it will just send them off the planet and they'll become space cadets and really shaky, and the blood sugars are low, and I mean, there's usually a little bit of time of transition as well, where we might feel a bit shaky and our body's adjusting. It's changing from using the glucose to the fat burning, which usually it might take a day, maybe 48 hours at the most, and then it kind of settles, and it's kind of like, oh, your body's sort of gotten into the smooth groove of fat burning, which helps to sustain energy. And ketones have a lot of other, these fat gobbling molecules that the liver creates have a lot of other benefits in the body too, and are very good for the brain, very good for reducing inflammation in the body, as ghee is. And creating that stableness of mood and blood sugar and energy. So it's not like, I don't recommend prolonging ketosis for really long amounts of time. In fact, there's such a thing as, what's the word, ketoacidosis, I think it's called. And that's when things go too far. So again, always being aware, always working with, a professional or, a support person who knows what's, going on. So we just don't want to push the body really far, but doing regular cleansing is very, very supportive to our health and to moving into ketosis or autophagy, which is another thing that kicks in after a certain amount of time of fasting, where our body will mop up what we've accumulated already, rather than constantly processing what we're putting in every single day. So it gets a chance to actually kick into its superpower of digesting fats and digesting our
Unlock.
cellular accumulations that we all accumulate over, you know, months and lifetimes. So that's part of the picture.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's mindful, Jacqueline, to you know, just because fasting's the thing at the moment, or ketosis is the thing, to be mindful that we're all individuals and we should seek to understand ourselves better and to educate ourselves around our own health. And we can be quite intuitive around it. I know I did the ketosis a while back, and I kicked into where, you know, my brain was really alert because I was, you know, it's the ketosis had kicked in basically, and that was great. But I noticed as I continued to do it, even though I was feeling great, and then I just kind of hit a wall, and it's like, okay, it's time to stop this now. Whereas there's other people that seem to do like a keto diet forever, and they say, oh, well, you know, this is the way you have to live forever. And it's a bit like some people try veganism, and for a while they're great, and then, you know, it doesn't work. And some people, you know, eat lots of meat, and then that doesn't work, or it does work, you know. So everyone's really different, and they really need to listen to themselves. And if we were all the same, there'd be one diet book, right? And everyone would results, and it would be all good. I mean, I just don't know what's that definition of insanity? You know, we continue to buy these books or try these things, and it's like, this has only kind of happened in the last 50 years that we've done this whole diet craze thing. Before that, everyone used to just eat intuitively when they felt hungry. And, you know, we've got processed foods and all of that type of thing. I'm sure that's adding to it. Well, we know it is, all the stats say it is. But it's only been in the last 50 years that we've been pushing out all these different diets. There's different ways of eating, and really it makes you think, doesn't it?
And it can become just so confusing when all this different information out there, and then it becomes overwhelming and confusing. And for most diets, it generally works for almost everyone for a short amount of time, because it's a change and your body's going, oh, we're shifting, we're changing. And most diets are lightening, you know, putting in less heavy foods or less sugary foods. Now, of course, that's going to work for a while, but, you know, there's in Ayurveda, there are the 3 different body types, and we're all a unique combination of the 5 elements. You know, I mean, it's not just 3 body types, it's more like 7 or 9 body types, because it's a combination of all of these 3 doshas. And the 5 elements. And so finding what works for you as an individual, learning about your own body so that you can trust the signals that your body is telling you, rather than getting confused by all the information that is out there. That just creates so much more ease in daily life, because you know what feels right. And then even as seasons shift and you go, oh yeah, now, as you were saying, Lisa, you know, now you're feeling the autumn and, you know, the dryness that the vata can stimulate at this time of year, and so you're upping your ghee a bit because that feels good right now. So, you know, that's just responding perfectly to the change in the season.
Right, and it reinforces that when we change something, your body changes with it. So the seasons are changing, our body does different things. I mean, why does everyone get runny noses in winter? It's because our body is sort of getting rid of this accumulation during that time. And, you know, intuitively, autumn's coming up and I was feeling these things. And so I've gone the way I have. But it's the same, exactly what you said with the diets. Everyone's going to get a bit of results, because if you're changing something, the body is going to change in response. So whatever's happening on the outside is then, you know, reflected on the inside, and it's always striving for this balance.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And
so come back to the I heard something, I want to clarify so people don't get confused. So having it like a teaspoon of ghee with hot water in the morning, is that going to kick me into ketosis, or is it just going to help me get to ketosis quicker because I'm having less carbs as well, and, you know, all of that type of thing that people when they do the keto
That's a great
diet?
question. And I mean, it takes a different amount of time for different people, and what we're putting in is important because, but what having ghee first thing, so it takes often about 2 days, 24 to 48 hours to get into ketosis. And you know, having the ghee first thing in the morning helps to keep you there as well. So it signals the body, use this for fuel, and you know, not the sugars. Now, of course, we also have to reduce the amount of sugars and carbs that are going in to keep your body. And it doesn't mean you don't have any carbs whatsoever. It's like it's, you know, it's reduced rather than just you know, only eating protein and fat and vegetables and not starchy vegetables, just green vegetables, or you know, it's simpler than that. So you know, one way of supporting ketosis is to have half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon, what you can tolerate, of ghee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach with warm water. Now, the beauty of doing that as well is not only does it help to keep you in ketosis, but because ghee is so subtle and nourishes all tissues, whatever we put into our body first thing on an empty stomach spreads and has the biggest, greatest impact. And we want that impact to be positive, not negative. So putting coffee first thing in the morning is kind of negative because it's really stimulating, really drying, really...
Oh,
sorry, not listening. But like you said, putting a bit of ghee in it does help. Or just have the coffee after food, so it's not going in and on empty stomach. You know, it's not don't have it ever, but it just definitely helps. But when we do the ghee first thing, it you know, it gets absorbed and it nourishes every tissue of our body and our nervous system and our brain and our hormones, and it's just especially effective. And ghee gets used a lot in Ayurveda as a vehicle to take herbs deeply into the tissues that they're targeting as well. So it's got this what's called sukshma quality, which takes it, you know, into the tissues, as you said, you know, crosses the cell membrane really beautifully. I've got a question here from...
Yeah, and we're talking about that.
I'm just seeing a question, or maybe it's a comment from Luke. Only been 70 years of having refrigerator freezers, so keeping meat was harder and cost more too. Yeah, so you know, it's our eating habits have changed drastically in the last 70, 50 years, and you know, we really went through that stage when, I can't remember which American president was very unwell in the 50s. Eisenhower. I'm terrible with my American, you know, anyway. And you know, all these doctors,
everyone knows it in the comments.
Yeah, all these doctors and scientists, you know, were trying to figure out how to save him, how to help him, and that really split our dietary understanding into 2 camps, and it became, you know, sugar and fats.
Oh yes, fat and the sugar won out. You know, they said, no, don't have fats, don't have fats.
And
have
so
more
everything
sugars.
became low fat and high sugar, and look what's happened. It's like we don't have a particularly healthy society for those, you know, over the last 50 years. So now we're realizing that, of course, good quality fats are incredibly important for so many, you know, aspects of our health. So yay for ghee, yay for Lisa for, for creating good ghee.
Sorry. Yes, who said that? Because I can't read the comments.
That was Luke about saying the 70 years of having a refrigerator. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, good point, Luke. Really good point.
Now, speaking of refrigerating, you don't need to refrigerate ghee because it can just sit out at room temperature.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just to let everyone else know on the call, that we will be covering, like Jacqueline's touched on, cleansing and detoxification, then about, you know, as she talked about nourishing the body. We'll be talking about reducing inflammation. We'll be talking in another one about, my cat's going to come and play. We'll be talking about the cholesterol question that came up. The next one, I had it written on a piece of paper, but the cat is now there on it. So, but you would have seen that I've done a whole list in our events of what's coming up, what we're going to be what the focus is going to be. You know, it is a general conversation, so we're going to be moving about and crossing backwards and forwards over different things, because we are not singular cells. You know, one thing happens and it doesn't affect the other, like you was talking about earlier with the protection of the thyroid, which is responsible for our metabolism. You know, oh, there we go, everyone, this is Squiddy. His name's Squid. And he's come to eat the leaves because he's got something going on, and he, as an animal, he's going like, I need some of this, and so he'll come and eat those leaves on occasion, and we know like, oh, something's not quite right. So animals are very intuitive. We need to be like that too, I think. Yeah, so we've got, if you go into the events, you'll have a look at them all. Also, in the top comment, there's a link for Jacqueline if you wanted to book in and speak to her privately about what's going on for you and your health. I know, Jacqueline, you could tell us a little bit more. Have you filled all your spots for your up and coming seasonal cleanse?
Squeeze a couple more people into the cleanse. So the doors actually close tonight at 10 p.m. So interesting timing. But twice a year.
Oh, good.
Yeah, twice a year I run an online group cleanse, because in Ayurveda there's two junctions, two times of the year, which is the end of summer sliding into autumn, end of winter sliding into spring, that our body is just ripe for cleansing. And for me, cleansing, it shouldn't be a drastic deprivation of, you know, things and being really hard on yourself. My cleanse, it's 16 days, and the first week is all about becoming more conscious of our choices, reducing snacking. And the cleanse is kind of a choose your own adventure, because there's two pathways. Some people, to do a cleanse that's to do a cleanse that's just that lightening, like full detox, if your nervous system's already running high and if you're feeling, you know, frazzled, to do that is just going to exacerbate the feeling of being frazzled and scattered and bloated. And, you know, so if that was your experience already, there's an option to do nourishing and grounding and simplifying, which when we simplify what we're putting in, we're cleansing, because we're giving our digestion a break. So the first week is mostly about that and learning a few habits to build, to look after ourselves better. And then the second week is an option of going deeper for those who want to take a slightly more cleansing route into you know, maybe moving into the ketosis or going into a liquid diet for a few days. So, you know, it's different for everyone. And in the guidebook, there's explorations to help people to decide what's right for them. And we'll have a private Facebook group, which is a support group where I'm there helping people and answering questions. And my body is so ready for it. I'm just like, yes, it's the season again. I'm ready to go, ready to simplify and look after myself and become more conscious about my choices. And for me, I don't have a coffee habit, but I love a glass of wine occasionally, and my dark chocolate habit's really gotten a bit out of control. So time to just chill a bit with that. So I can pop the link in the comments when we're finished, and you know, you can have a little look at that and see if it feels right for you.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. And if you don't have any OMG, I'll put a link in the, there is a link in the comments for OMG. So go and buy a jar. What's today? Wednesday. I've been shipping out Mondays because I really, look, it doesn't matter if your ghee comes to you in a liquid form. It makes no difference. But, you know, it's a bit of a mum thing. I know how I like it. And it's the intention of how I want it to show up for you. So I like to ship it on a Monday. So when it gets to you, it hasn't had too many hours in the heat of the post and going from this place to, you know, that, and sat in a warehouse over the weekend. Not that it makes any difference. Like, it's got a massive shelf life where it's best before 12 months, but it can be well beyond that. But yeah, I like it to become nice and smooth, so you can butter it just like a butter.
To see it.
So if you put it,
I was excited to see it at my local Mount Barker Foodland the other day. It's like, there she is. Yes.
Oh, yes, that was on my list. Where's that piece of paper? I don't know where it's gone. Now I'm looking at the cat over here chewing away. But I jumped on to say big news, everybody. we are stocked in some
Yay.
Foodlands. So there's got to be a Foodland near you. Yay. So if you buy online, it's going to take a week to get to you. But if you're not in a rush, jump online, buy online. You know, you're helping me out as a small business owner, because there is, you know, everyone takes their cut along the way. I'm sure you all know the intricacies of that type of thing. But I do want you to go and shop at your local Foodland. You'll be supporting lots of local businesses while you're there. But we are in now, let's see. I have to remember, I wrote them all down. We're at Henley Beach now. So, oh, my cat's just done a skid, sorry. Has anyone got any animals that do big turns and then just squish off? Yeah, so we're in Henley Beach, Brighton, Sefton Park, Saints. There's two more. Norwood and Freehill.
Well done. That's awesome.
There you go. So those, yeah, so that's the big announcement about the Foodlands. But I do really want to give a big shout out as well to the Simple Market at the top of Henley Beach Road. So that's a they have beautiful produce in there and all organic, and it's lovely. A really nice community. Darling Dale, if anyone knows of the Darling Dale, that's on Grange Road at Findon. She does amazing stuff there, and she's running to Ayurveda and the seasons and the flow like you are, Jack.
She's
I'm
fantastic.
sure that you've met
She's
Jo, and she's got it. Yeah, if you're interested in that kind of stuff and you're around that area, around Findon on Grange Road, pop into her shop. She's got this gorgeous blackboard with a big circle on it with all the seasons and sort of what's happening, so you can look at it. And she's right into helping you as an individual when you walk in as well, to sort of she's got that mother guidance thing going on, and yeah, you'll love it. Yes, in Norwood, the organic shop in Norwood has us as well. Not in Norwood, it's oh no, I should have written it down.
It's affordable organic in Tranmere.
Yes,
not Tranmere or McGill, I think it is.
Affordable. Yeah. And the lovely now Willow. I took a photo with Willow, the beautiful Willow there, but I think it's Jess, is it? She she was very excited to have us in store, so that's great. So look, if you go to the website, there's a whole heap of stockists. That's easier to say, right? And I also want to let people know that I have put the recipe up on our website for that one you were just talking about earlier.
Beautiful.
You were talking about the rice.
Yeah, so delicious.
Yeah, because we can see, we're mums, and we can say, oh, you just do rice, ghee, blah, blah. And it's like, and there it is. If you haven't eaten it before, it's probably helpful to have a bit of a recipe, even though it's super simple. Yeah, so that's up. Put that up today, and there's a secret Easter recipe up there as well. So go check them out.
Sounds great, Lisa.
Yes. It's a fish recipe. Lots of people like it. Hey?
Sounds wonderful. Sounds delicious.
What was that, Jacqueline?
Wonderful.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yes. So was there anything else, Jacqueline, that you would like to add to the weight loss conversation? And is there any questions before we sign off?
I don't have anything to add. I mean, we need to eat ghee in moderation. It is a fat. So I think, Luke, I saw something about the food pyramid in there. I think we need more fat, good quality fats than that original food pyramid used to, be, that we learned in primary school. But it's
they've changed it.
Say that again, Lisa.
They've changed that pyramid. They have changed that pyramid. Just recently, I'd have to go in and have a look at it. But that changes over time as well, right? Which tells me that, health education's kind of
evolving.
It's not a set science. It's like evolving, and I love how it's catching up to the ancient
Exactly,
science.
that's something I was going to say much earlier too. I mean, I always love how modern science starts validating these ancient knowledge. It's just fabulous. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, Jacqueline, you said ghee in moderation. I totally agree. But I would just like to say about what happens when people come visit me at the markets and they go, oh, I've just been like high on the hog on it. I've just been like taking it and taking it. And what I say to them is, when I first started making my own ghee and I loved it, I was high on the hog on it too. And then I felt satiated, like my body felt like, yep, that's enough. And then it petered off. And that may happen for new ghee users because their body is needing it. It's needing that lubrication and that kind of thing. And so I just say, listen to your body. If you wanted to go high on the hog for a time and you're feeling okay, that's fine. But there will come a time where it will need to peter off, because there's a difference between feeling that urge, like, oh, I really need that, to, oh, I just like, it's like chocolate, right? Do I really need that chocolate, or do I just want it? So yeah, there are some foods that your body will intuitively go, yep, I've had enough.
I agree.
So don't be afraid to have it.
And most people do need
a
lot of ghee, because they're usually very dry, very depleted. So, get that ghee into you.
Yeah, you're sitting in air conditioning all day, so you're dry. I know most of my friends are getting a bit older, so we're going into that drier part of our life as well, and it helps lubricate the joints and the brain and that type of thing. But there will come a time where you won't want to go high on the hog on it, and just be mindful of that. We're not saying to always eat a lot of ghee, but don't be scared to have it if you feel like your body wants it.
Yeah. Trust your body.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's been lovely. We did it, Jack.
Yay.
We made it
work.
We'll
do it again in a month's time. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you're welcome. And I'll see you actually, it's not next month. We're in March. Our next one's in May. Early May. We're doing 2 in May. Just the way we got Easter long weekend.
Perfect.
And stuff.
Great. Yeah. See you then, everyone.
But for all that, see ya. Thanks for thank you for being here. I wonder if I can see your questions now. No, that's really weird. Sorry about that. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And there is another event. We'll be talking about ghee and inflammation. So if you're one of those people that gets up in the morning with a few aches and pains and that type of thing, then perhaps you want to tune in and listen to that. All right, so have a great evening.